Attorney Jerome Pay. Live TV talk on your digital device on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Download the SVP TV app right now. Check us out every Tuesday on Comcast Cable, Channel 17, 8:30 p.m. And we are live every Friday on Facebook Live, 6 o'clock in the evening. You've got a question, our attorneys have the answer. So let's talk law with Attorney Daryl O'Neill on the SVP TV network.
Thanks for watching the Law Officer Daryl O'Neill.
Oh, Daryl.
Man, I'm
You
struggling.
caught him off guard.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe.
Welcome to Talking Law with Daryl O'Neill. I'm your host. I got my main man, Jerome, with
What's
me.
going on, Daryl O'Neill?
Man, you know, I took a week off, man,
I
and got
know.
tongue-tied,
I
man.
see, dude.
I'm acting like I'm in the office. Jerome, you know, today we want to talk about elected officials, you know, and I think that that's a good thing.
I like that, Daryl.
It's a lot going on when you get in the middle of dealing with elected officials, and they got a lot of responsibility, man. So, you know, we can expand on that today, man. And, you know, just tells people how their constitution works and how we can do some things.
Sounds good, man.
We gotta give our shout outs. If you have Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV, or the SVP TV network app, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Yeah. You can watch us right now live, and you got any questions, you can call in. We'll answer those questions regardless of what there is, what we're talking about, what area we're talking about. We'll answer those questions for you.
Daryl, that's probably nothing as important right now as trying to get the right people in office. Mm-hmm. And so that leads tonight a show talking about the election.
I think that's a good thing. Got to give our shout outs to California,
That's right.
Shout outs to Arkansas, Little Rock, shout outs to West Memphis, Arkansas, shout out to Memphis, Shelby County, shout outs to the great state of Missouri, and I can't forget the shout outs to Mississippi, shout outs to my family, shout outs to Drone family.
And your wife there.
Specific shout out to my wife. So, Jerome, you know, when we start talking about elected officials, I mean, you know, I always struggle with this.
I know you do, Daryl.
And I guess my thing is, and you'll help me out.
Okay.
But I always struggle with it, and my thing is always that elected officials forget that somebody put them in office, and they're there for that purpose, not their own purpose.
And I think you're absolutely right. Tonight, we're not asking what politicians want from us. We're asking, what should we demand from them, Daryl? Because if you vote, if you pay taxes, if you raise your family in this city, then you're not begging for leadership. You are entitled to it. And if they can't deliver, it's time for them to, you know, when I was growing up there, we had a thing that hit the road, Jack. I mean, because, you know, what happens what happens with a politician, just like anybody else, if there's no accountability, I can continue to run, skip, and jump and never produce anything.
No. And look, and this is, you know, the real thing, Jerome, and I'm just gonna sidetrack just for a minute, but the real thing is, you know, the importance of you holding the politician that you elected feet to the fire is something that you need to do.
Oh my.
And because if you do that, they're not going to ignore you. They're not going to pretend like you know, they don't have somebody to answer to.
Man.
And so all of a sudden, they're on the outside looking in. The next politician won't look that way.
That's exactly right. And then, for one thing, though, Daryl, the politicians are like anybody else. The wheel,
the squeaky wheel.
The squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah, right.
But the wheel that does not squeak, you just keep on doing the same thing. And that's what has happened to us for many, many years. I am so disappointed about the status of Memphis, Tennessee. When I travel, and no, you travel more than I have.
I don't know about that, but I travel a lot.
Well, it used to be a time when you would say Memphis, no matter where you were, people were excited to know you came from Memphis? Because they heard about the blues, they heard about
Elvis.
I mean, just absolutely. You from Memphis, man? But that has changed for a number of reasons. And I believe the most central reason is the poverty that still exists in this city. Though we have multi-million-dollar corporations in the city, though we have these incentives to bring these people in, it still has not, you know, Reagan came up with that trickle-down thing. It didn't work then, and it doesn't work now.
Well, yeah. You know, it's funny, Jerome. What I always get is somebody from Detroit or somebody from one of these other little cities that they think is a big city.
Right.
Will always say, "Oh man, you live in the country." You know, like, you know, Memphis.
Memphis is the country?
A little hole in the wall, yeah. And you know, a guy told me that. You know, he from Detroit.
Yeah.
I said, "Hey man, do you know what the population is in Memphis? Because it's way more than what the population in Detroit.
For
You know,
sure.
but it's bigger than St. Louis.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't, you know, they hear
don't
that
realize it.
St. Louis, Detroit, you know, now it's not bigger than Chicago or Philadelphia,
That's right.
you know, some of those other big places. But this is, you know, this is probably one of the top 50 cities as far as population is concerned in the United States.
And we have so much potential. Sitting here on the bluff, the weather is never, ever just totally, I mean, it's an aberration when we do get stuff like we got this year. We rarely used to have snow. We rarely used to have just tornadoes and stuff like that. And so people can actually experience all 3 seasons maybe within a week's time. And so it was predictable. And so I don't understand why we are not captivating on what this city has to offer.
Well, you know, and you said it, Jerome, you know, we look around, we look at our crime level. Crime is high.
Yes.
And the first thing we got to say is whoever's coming into the office as the Shelby County Sheriff, crime is high. What is your plan as the sheriff to get some of this crime down?
And once you do incarcerate somebody, how do you keep them safe?
Well, I don't even think that, and look, see, what you did is almost racist, man.
Oh,
And let me just tell you.
why you said that there?
Because the first thing you thought about was that the sheriff's function was to incarcerate people.
No, well, the sheriff's function is to serve and protect.
Exactly.
But you can't always, I mean, look.
He's the
look,
chief law enforcement in Shelby County.
I agree.
Yeah,
But his function is multifaceted.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
but
And you're right.
locking up.
Call me when I'm wrong.
Yeah, locking up people is his last duty.
I acquiesce.
Yeah,
You're
his
right.
first duty should be, what is my plan
I
as
agree.
the chief law enforcement to keep law and order?
I
And, you know, do I need to put more? I mean, right now, I think he was fighting, Sheriff Bonner was fighting, and they were 400 or so sheriffs down.
Staff, yeah, the staff,
Yeah,
the
you
staff
know,
was down, yeah.
and they have not been able to, you know, that money is still in the budget,
Right.
but they have not been able to
Right.
hire those people.
Right.
You know, well, the question is, and the problem is, what you paying them. You know, because Memphis has picked up its numbers.
But that's just one of the problems. One of the other problems is, how do you make the job attractive? How do you get people's minds settled that I want to be in law enforcement? You know, we talked about that a couple of shows ago about. I had a police car. You said you never had one, did you?
No, man. I lived around, man. There's criminals in my neighborhood, man. Dog, if I had a police car, I got jumped on. Man, we would have been fighting like, man, no.
Well, you know, what
My father probably would have jumped on me if I had a police car.
yeah, because look, but law enforcement, people want to be safe. People want to have quiet, peaceful enjoyment, and people want to help to create that kind of environment. But we have made it so unattractive because of racism, discrimination, and all those kinds of things when people encounter law enforcement, because something goes awry, and it's one of your words. When you put on the uniform, all of a sudden you turn into a different person.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Or you start power tripping.
Right.
You know,
Right.
well, I said,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and you know, and it's so funny, man. You know, my mom is we watch Gunsmoke a
Oh,
lot.
really?
My mother loves Gunsmoke, man. I mean, but that damn Matt Dillon, man, you know, and look, I know y'all are, big Western fans, but if you get a chance, it's channel 1431, you need to watch the Western channel and watch Gunsmoke, because what you will learn is the same way that he administers or does the law. It's the same thing that we got going on right now.
Right.
Matt Dillon would come up to somebody and say, "Hey, what's your name?" He said, "I don't have to tell you my name." And he just grabbed a mug and started jacking him up, Or he say, "Hey, I told you to get out of town," and somebody don't move. He just starts slapping him, man. I mean,
Really?
Oh man,
So,
Matt Dillon, bro.
Wait a minute there. Are you really endorsing that kind of behavior?
No. What I'm really not, I'm not endorsing it.
Okay.
What I'm really saying is, you need to see how 100 years ago, that how law enforcement is done hasn't changed. Right now, the police stop you, they say, "What's your name?" Man, get out of here with that. "I'm gonna arrest you, or if you don't, I'm gonna put you in jail, or let me see your ID.
But is that legitimate? To stop a citizen for no reason at all and start questioning a citizen?
Yeah, so the short answer is no.
Okay.
But and that's the problem.
Yeah.
It was never good with Matt Dillon, but what
Right.
happens is they have manipulated it into, unacceptable conduct.
That's right.
Because what they'll say is, and the Supreme Court has helped them.
I
They'll say,
you're absolutely right.
And I'm not talking about the current Supreme Court. I'm talking about way back. I'm talking about, Thurgood Marshall's Supreme Court.
Yeah.
They basically, Terry came up, the Terry stops.
Right.
So basically, if they have a reasonable suspicion that you are doing something wrong, they can stop you. And if that suspicion they can frisk you. So that's what the Terry stop and frisk.
Well, it was for their protection while a close encounter with the with an
you stopped me for
individual.
no reason,
Well,
and now you want to say you want
right,
to use Terry.
Right.
And that's what they do.
Right.
You'll have, and I'll watch the police officer, and I mean, I've deposed them, man, and because I don't sue the city a lot,
Right.
and I've deposed them, and one of the things, I'll ask them, "You arrested my client?" No, we didn't arrest him. I said, What did you do? He said, "Well, we detained him." I said, "Detained him?"
That's exactly what an arrest
I
is.
said, "Are you sure you want to make that statement?"
Right.
And they were like, "Well, y'all just detained him." I said, "Let me ask you a question. Could he have left?" "Well, no."
Well, he's under arrest. When you inhibit my ability to leave an area, that's an arrest.
Yeah.
Right.
If I cannot leave,
That's right.
that's an arrest.
Because you have taken control over my movement.
Yeah, and I don't have to answer. Once you do that,
I think you're right.
I don't have to answer. Once you have detained me or arrested me where I cannot leave, and it wasn't a traffic stop.
No.
You felt something suspicious going on, dude, we're done with this. Let me have your ID. Go in the car and get it. We're not doing this.
And it's so unfortunate too, Daryl, because as I said many times that most people want to just be left alone. Look, just leave me alone and let me go about my business. And so we call that safe care and lookout when we're driving. The same thing. I just want to be left alone. So when you invade my space and start asking me questions and I've not done anything, then you have really taken away my rights to quiet, peace, and enjoyment.
And that's the other thing, okay, because again, we're talking about elected officials.
That's right.
If this person that you're going to endorse as their sheriff, that's the question you need to ask.
I agree.
How are you, what is your position when your officers
agree.
don't do what they're supposed to do.
I agree.
You know, well, their first thought is, man, I'm having a hard time keeping them.
And then when was the last time an internal affairs investigation actually led
To something. Yeah. I mean, because I was involved in the Tyree Nichols matter.
Yeah.
But you watch some of the videos that they submitted, and I'm not talking about the ones that were specifically related to Tyree Nichols.
I got you.
I'm talking about the videos that were related to before he ever got arrested.
Other stops, yeah.
Other stops.
That led up
there.
Yeah.
They were out of control.
Yeah.
People had complained about them. Complained about those police officers.
Sure.
They made reports.
Sure.
They filed excessive force reports, and they all got swept under the rug.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the rule under the City of Memphis policy, if somebody files an excessive force, you're supposed to pull that officer's body camera and look at that body camera.
Right.
That was not happening.
Never doing it.
Not happening.
Yeah.
And so when you get caught like with the Nichols thing, with your hand in a cookie jar, you can't come back and say, I didn't know.
Right. Right.
The signs were there.
Right. And the other thing too is that the defense, I'm just following orders. If you again, in fact, there is a rule, isn't it, that you have an obligation to intervene in a situation that you see is getting out of control.
Right. They've changed that now.
Yeah, you have an obligation to intervene. So what's the job description for an elected official? One is to protect the people, manage public resources responsibly, and uphold the law, not bend it. That's it. Everything else is noise. If you ain't doing that, we got a problem.
Well, I like that. But again, and I want to segment it that, Jerome. Like I started off with crime.
Yeah.
And we got a person that's running for sheriff. So what do you expect from your sheriff? What do you want from your sheriff? This is not a popularity contest.
I agree. Yes.
But it really is. But it's a popularity contest based on what you can do for me.
And that's because we have started normalizing dysfunction. We're so used to dysfunction, so we don't really know what a productive police force looks like because we've been operating under dysfunction so long. And so that's where we got to get back to the basics. The basics is what you said long ago there is to protect and serve the public, because at the end of the day, you have a boss, and that boss is what?
Me.
Is what?
Yeah. That boss is me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm paying your salary.
That's right.
So you better act like
That's
it.
exactly right.
But there's no, and one of the things we had when we had Judge Downer on here is we had, they now have a citizen oversight board, and they're looking through and trying to, factor in and make changes, make recommendations for things to be better. But then the other thing, Jerome, we look at this is, here's what I look at, and here's where I start struggling at. On Sunday, during election time, everybody that's running for office is in your church. Everybody that's running for office on Sunday, every Sunday during the election cycle,
Yes.
everybody is in your church.
Yes.
Trying to say, hey,
Yes.
vote for me. I'm your person.
Yes.
But whenever there's no election, whenever there's no liability, those people are not in your church.
You can't find them anywhere.
Yeah.
And so let's be real there. Too many politicians are campaigning like pastors, but they govern like they don't have a plan. I always said that. Show me the plan. Show me on paper. Like Trump said a couple of times about the American health care services. I got the outline of a plan. But where's your plan?
Right.
And so, and there, how much time does it take for you to sit down and come up with a theoretical way of how you plan to move Memphis forward?
No, I agree.
How do you stop? Because we can't deny it. Crime is our biggest problem. now.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, we all buy into it, okay? And it really, I hate to say this, Jerome, because you're not, normally I'm the one that's taking this position, and you're going the other way, but I actually think crime is not our biggest problem.
Okay, that's fine.
I think education is our biggest problem. I think, yeah, see, I'm being Jerome
that's
now.
okay.
I think education
Well, that's
is
what
the-
happened when we were on each other, man. After working together so long.
And here's the thing. I mean, I do. You know, and Jerome hit it on the head. What do you expect from your politician? I mean, I'm Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately?
What have you done
What
for me
are
lately?
you doing for me? And so, what do you expect from your politician? You know, the thing about it is, if you got the sheriff, and the first thing the sheriff is talking about incarcerating people,
Yeah, I agree.
that you don't want that guy to be your sheriff.
I agree.
Because, I mean, their mindset is wrong.
Yeah.
If their first thing is, we got to get back to McGruff, the crime dog, and get him back in the school system. You know, we got to, you know, get the Hamburglar and somebody to show up at these different places so kids can see good, bad, you know, and then they can understand right from wrong. Because there's certain crime that ain't nothing anybody going to be able to do to stop. These drive-by shootings, nothing you're going to be able to do to stop those. These people that are doing shootings on road rage, no. Road rage, those are road rage. There's nothing you're going to be able to do to stop those. So if you educate people beforehand, for instance, hey, pretend like, you know, everybody makes a mistake and just move on.
Well, I agree with that. Unfortunately, though, what I do not agree with is that we cannot stop it. Well, what happens in my mind is that we don't value history. History tells us, and it's people like us there. It's our people. We might well just admit that, clearly admit that. But the reason why my life is not as important to you is because you have devalued it based on what society has said about the black man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so we have let someone else define what black men are supposed to be like. And so that's where you come in, man. When you come in, you will show them, no, a black man is someone who can be respected, someone who can raise a family, someone who can operate a business, someone who can hire other people, and bring their standard up. And that's how we change this narrative. But if you like rap music, if you like to hear B's and P's and D's, why you gotta play your music so loud until it bumps my car?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I know you ain't hearing it. I know you ain't hearing
You can't hear it.
Man, and I, you know, when I was younger, I had friends like that, man. I was like, yo, dog, turn your stuff down,
Turn it
man.
down,
Or
man.
do me a favor, let me out so I can get in my own car.
I'm telling you.
Because it hurts my ears.
Everybody does not want to hear that.
Yeah,
and so that's
yeah.
how, and so the first thing we're doing is we got to bring some respect for the women back. When we are talking about the women's clothes and we doing these kinds of things, you're devaluing. It's the same thing that you do before this country tries to execute somebody. They first dehumanize them and call them a terrorist. And then the next thing you know, they're dropping bombs on the terrorists.
and you know, and you said something earlier on, Jerome, maybe I read it, but normalization
Right.
is what, you know, and that's what we have
That's exactly
from
right.
these politicians.
That's exactly right.
All I'm going to do is just keep putting out this same rhetoric, and I'm going to show up on your church on Sunday, give a couple dollars, and then, you know, you vote for me.
And then election night, I'm going to be sitting there watching the results come in, and I'm back in again.
Yeah, I'm back in.
I've done nothing.
And I ain't
don't
coming
have a
back to your
plan,
church.
And you won't see me again until the next election cycle.
Yeah.
So here's a checklist that people need. You need to write this down. Show me your plan, not your passion. I'm passionate about some things, but I want to see your plan. Show me your numbers, not your narrative. show me what you've done. Show me your track record, not your promises. And most importantly, show me accountability. That's the problem. Black people don't hold nobody accountable.
Except for us.
Except for us.
Yeah, except for us. It's funny, right? I don't, you know Mike Floyd.
Oh yeah, I know Mike. Yeah.
So
Mike's in your office with you.
Mike has shared office with me before.
Right.
And he's on it. Mike's doing his own thing now. But
Okay.
So Mike had ran a number of years on a Republican ticket.
Okay.
And if you think about it, hold on now.
Hold on a
second. Though.
Okay.
But think about it.
Okay.
90% of black people are Republicans. And here's the reason why you are. Most black people are conservative. Most black people are God-fearing individuals. Most black people believe in education. Now, here is where they start separating. Equal rights, that's a democratic issue instead of a society issue. Social politics or social services, those fall on the other side. And then, the blacks are in between. Crime prevention is important unless it's involved in their family.
Well, Darryl, I'm so glad I was holding on to my seat when you said that I was a Republican. I almost fell out of my chair.
No, I'm
you
not.
You said 90% of black people are Republicans.
Yeah.
I was about to fall out of my chair, man. You mean they like certain things about
their ideology.
Yeah.
Their ideology.
If it were true, because they can claim that they love God, but still deny people basic rights of having health care. We love children, but you cut the food stamps out. We love children, but they can't get an education.
Well,
so if they in fact would follow those premises, they wouldn't have lost black people. They would have stayed.
Well, and again, the thing is. The thing is, you need to say when you're evaluating these politicians, I need to know what you gonna bring that I'm good with.
Oh, I like that.
I mean,
I like that.
I don't need everything.
I like that.
And here's what I look at. The evangelicals supported Donald Trump.
They still do.
If that guy is not the Antichrist, I don't know who it is.
I can't imagine it.
I mean, the guy said some things, man. I don't even know that. If you and I would have said them, they'd have threw us. Man, they'd have killed us.
They said Barack had done just
thought
about doing
any of these
what
things.
this man is doing.
Yeah.
But also, Darryl, to just start he said he was going to wipe out a whole generation of people, man. Now. Anyway.
Well, I mean,
we spent too much time talking about nonsense there. That's one of your words too, is nonsense.
Well, but again, Jerome, that's the whole point. When you are looking at these politicians, right, and you're looking at who you're going to put in office, you need to vet that person.
That's for sure.
One of the things that you said to me earlier is it needs to be like a job interview.
That's for sure.
I'm going to interview you just like you would interview me, and if I don't like what you're saying, I'm not going to hire you. It's just that simple.
It's just like that's like you said there. Is to hire an employee and then go to your office and say, "I hate I hired that
dude." And we've all done it, Jerome.
Right.
Hire somebody because we have liked them,
right,
or we thought we liked them,
right.
And the reality of it is they suck bad, and you didn't realize how bad they suck until you hired them, and then you're like, oh my God, this person.
What have I done?
I must have been tripping bad.
Right.
All right, Joan. Look, this is a lot of information.
Oh, no, of course.
What we want to do next show, or maybe the show after that, is bring a couple politicians on.
Oh, yeah.
And then, look, I need you to ring this line and ask these politicians some of these questions. Because, I'm going to have a few of them on here.
Okay.
I mean, we had Mike Williams on.
Okay.
And Mike laid out his platform.
That's right.
Again, That's what I'm talking about.
And you're going to see me do something that you probably never thought you would see. I'm going to flip the script because I want to change. I'm looking for change. Where we don't just talk about the law here, we talk about how it affects you.
All right, y'all. Thank you for watching the show.